So, what happens when we've lost warmth towards our kids and that connection? Really, quite a few different things can happen. So, let's discuss just a couple of them. First, we can start to get into a place where we're parenting a lot harsher, that we don't have any love or compassion towards our kids, and so our interactions are short and cold and snippy. And that can lead our child to feeling like they lost their sense of belonging in our home, that they are not okay, that can really affect their self-concept and what they think and feel about themselves, and that can make behavior even worse. Another thing that can happen is that our coldness that we start to experience, or the lack of warmth that we've experienced, can get us to a place where we just give up. And we're tired of trying and we're tired of caring because it hurts and it's frustrating and it's hard. And so we just kind of take our hands off and let the kids run wild. And none of those situations are really great. We want to stay in that place of warmth and connection. So how do we do that though if we have kids that are behaving hard or behaving poorly? Well, of course we want to address behavior. And we will teach you how to address behavior throughout the next lessons. And as you apply what we teach you, you are going to see negative behavior decrease, and that will give you space to be able to feel some better things towards your kids. However, we need to start doing some work as parents to get into a good place, even if our kids don't change, so that they can feel the warmth, connection, and sense of belonging in our home, and that can help foster good change. And it can help our kids develop a healthy self-concept, and it can help us interact with them in a way that is going to be better and more effective for behavior changes. So how do we do this? Well, let's illustrate this with an analogy or a metaphor. So a little while ago, I was planting my garden, and I went to the nursery to get peppers. We like to eat a lot of spaghetti sauce at our house, and we have a canning recipe that's really yummy. And so we grow the peppers ourselves. So I went to get the peppers, just green bell peppers, and I came home and I planted them. And a couple months later, we went out to go pick them. And what would you be surprised to see? But there was not peppers on the plant, there were jalapenos. And those jalapenos would not have made a very good addition to our spaghetti sauce. If we would have put the jalapenos in instead of the green peppers, we would have had a very different tasting spaghetti sauce. We probably would have had a lot of heartburn, and we wouldn't have been happy with the outcomes. Now, if you go back to the root of the issue when we're talking about plants, the issue was the seed. The seed that was planted was labeled incorrectly, and it was not a green pepper. It was a jalapeno. And so when it comes to our feelings towards our kids, we want to address what's at the root of our feelings towards our kids. We talked about a lot of things that can block us from feeling positive towards our kids. The behavior, boundary violations, shame, fear, exhaustion. Underneath all of that, though, is the seed and what's really at the root of everything. And what we've learned through years and years of study and from something called cognitive behavioral therapy is that the root of everything is our thinking. That before we feel any emotion, we actually think a thought that brings on that emotion. So if we see a car crash, we think, oh no, that's not good, someone got hurt, and that evokes the emotion. If we see somebody sharing love with somebody else, we think, oh, it's so cool that they're bonding with each other and experiencing that, and that brings on the feeling. If we see our child and we think, oh, they're just a bad kid and they just are behaving so poorly and they just are awful, that is going to bring about negative feelings. However, if we look at our child and see, oh, they're using behavior that's not great, but they themselves are a good kid and I love them and I have compassion for them while they're learning and growing, that changes how we feel completely. So we want to teach you how to plant and nourish some new seeds, some new thoughts about your kids, so that when you look at them and they're doing things that aren't great, you can separate them from their behavior and you can still have good thoughts towards them even when they're stinkers. And then you can have some more positive feelings flowing from you in a more authentic way, rather than just pretending that you like them, even though deep down you think that they're a pain in the butt. So this is a picture from my own home. So it's a little blurry, but it will give you an idea. I put up a picture of my daughter, who has been more challenging, a picture that evokes delight in me, that when I see it, I feel warm feelings towards her. And then I've written some things by this picture, and I read these frequently so that I can remember that she is a wonderful person who is just trying to figure out how to be a wonderful human, and that that's hard. So I wrote down some things. I'm going to share them with you and kind of why I wrote them down so that you can understand the concept, but you come up with the phrases that are right for you. So we encourage you to go find a picture of your child, put it on your mirror or somewhere that you see it frequently. Maybe you put it in your drawer so that they don't know that you're thinking about them all the time, with these phrases on the picture. So I put worthy of love because I believe every human being is worthy of love. And I especially think that children are worthy of love and that they deserve to be loved by their parents. That if they can't be loved by their own parents, then who's going to love them? That the wound and the hurt that comes from not being loved by their own parents is deep, and that cuts in a really unique way. And so she is worthy of love, and she's worthy of love from me. She's doing her very, very best. She may be difficult and maybe more challenging than other kids, but for her, this is her best for right now. And she's learning and she's growing, and she'll make it to an even better best in the future as long as we stay consistent with our tools. Next, I put that she's trying to receive love, that so much of her actions are driven by just trying to receive love. And some kids go about it in such a backwards way. And my child is one of those. I almost feel like she's saying, how bad can I be? And have you still loved me? And where she comes from, a story of adoption, and there's abandonment in her story, it makes sense to me that she would be asking that question. I put delighted in by Father. I believe that she has a maker who delights in her. I put a reminder to hold her heart with gentleness and to fight for her. I feel like she deserves that. There was a woman who did this exercise years ago, and she had a really, really difficult teenage daughter. And so she put this picture of her teenage daughter up with all of these beautiful things by it. And they made it through the teenage years. This daughter grew up and moved out and got married. And one time they were gathered together as a family, all the family back together again and eating dinner. And the daughter piped up and said that she was her mom's favorite. And the mom said, "Why do you think that you're my favorite?" And she said, "Oh, because you had that picture up of me with all of those nice things by it, and you didn't have that up of any of the other kids." So you guys, that tells you how effective this was for this woman and her family, that she could look at the picture, read the things until she felt it authentically, and then interact with her daughter in that way. And then anytime that an interaction happened where the mom felt the warmth being zapped up or frozen over, she would go and read these things again and get it into a better space. For me, I read these morning and night, so that in the morning I'm setting myself up with warmth, and then at night I am trying to dissolve whatever happened that wasn't great and rest in positivity. Next is it's really important to get to a place where you can believe some new things. And I have a positive affirmation thing that I read frequently. And it's where I listed the positive characteristics of my daughter. And I read these so that I can remember that she's empathetic and creative and funny and energetic and on and on and on. All of these really good things about her, because I found myself day after day only being able to see her as challenging and hard and defiant and strong-willed, and I could not see past that. And so I've worked hard to shift myself into a different space, and we encourage you to do that too, to be able to see your kids as wonderful humans having hard moments. Another thing that we recommend, and you listen to yourself and what fits for you and what doesn't fit for you, and test and try out different things. I have a folder on my phone of pictures that produce feelings of warmth. This is a family picture of ours, and on particularly hard days when I am starting to shut down because I'm so frustrated with behavior, I'll just curl up in my bed and pull out these pictures and just look through them and remember the warm times and the happy memories and the good feelings, and I will go through them until the feelings of frustration and irritation just dissolve, and they're replaced with feelings of warmth because my thoughts have changed. All of this is about changing our thoughts. It's key to us staying in a place of warmth. Now, so is having good boundaries and our kids experiencing ownership for their choices. All of that is important too, and we'll talk about all of that in the next couple of lessons or in the next letters of the Wiser Parenting Framework. But we really just want to help you with your thinking.